Hello, everyone, and welcome to Satisfactory. This is a game that I'm going to be playing here on the channel and on my Twitch stream on Saturday nights. So let's get into it. All right, so update 5 came out just before Thanksgiving, and with it came a lot of cool stuff. I'm not going to really get into that too much. We'll sort of go through those as we progress through the game. Now, I already have a start on mine, but what I wanted to do first is sort of lay the land on starting a new game. So you get 4 regions to choose from. They're all on the same map. So you got the grass fields, the rocky desert, northern forest, and the dune desert. There is an option to skip the onboarding, or basically the tutorial. So if you've never played this before, then you should probably not skip the intro. But if you've never played this before, I would start with the grasslands. Now, I am currently set up in the rocky desert. I have played all of these, so it doesn't really. They say that the northern forest is the one that has the sort of the best starting area, but I don't know. I think it's based on preference. But you got to give it a name, and then you have friends only and private session types, because we do have the ability to do server stuff now too. But at any rate, I am actually in tier 3 and 4, but I'm still working on tier 1 and 2 related things. So I'm going to go into my factory setup, into my game, and I'm going to kind of show you a little bit about the early game, and then we'll kind of go into what I'm working on now. All right, so when you first set up, you'll get a box that when you place it down will create this hub, if you will, that will kind of get you started. You get your own little personal storage box, you get the hub terminal, and you get a craft bench. So that's kind of cool. You also get, these 2 things, which are biomass burners. Now, biomass burners, you can put things like leaves or trees, which are wood, into it, and you can get 20 megawatts of power out of just one of these. Now, you can build these too, but when you build them, you get 30 megawatts. So the 2 starter ones are a little bit lower powered. This is an equipment workshop that you can also build. In here, you can make things like portable miners, and eventually you'll be able to make other things like beacons, a Xeno Basher, which is kind of like a sword. The Xeno Zapper, that is sort of what we start off with, as sort of a defensive weapon. You can think of it like almost like a taser. And you can see this is the rocky desert. Got sand, got a lot of rocks, hence the name. Now, what I have right here is a starter factory for copper that I'm still working on finishing, so kind of get a little bit of a look into that. This is the starter factory that I'm doing for iron. So I'm just now building out my starter factories. The way I did my initial playthrough on the tier 1 and 2, and let me, I'm going to show you here. So in tier 1 and 2, we have base building, logistics, and field research. So in here, that's when you get the foundations. You get logistics, like these conveyor things that you can split and merge. Vertical lifts, things like the MAM, which is right over there. The ability to make more personal storage. You also will increase your inventory as you go through. Things like parts, so an assembler, which basically takes in 2 parts to build another. Copper sheets, which we'll use for other things. rotors, modular frames, and then this thing here, which is smart plating. So the smart plating is how you get out of tier 1 and 2. You have to create this big contraption right here, which is called the space elevator. And you can see here how much it takes to build one, the cost. So we look at the cost here. We have concrete, we have iron plates, iron rods, and wire. These are all basic tier 1 items. So what you can do is you can sort of set up a temporary thing in order to, a temporary automation in order to get a lot of that done. This was all built after that. So here in tier 3 and 4, I had a makeshift setup like right over here with only one of these miners. And you can see here that this iron is a pure node. Now there are 3 different types of purity. There's pure, which is the highest, there's normal, and then there's impure. So based on the purity will be based on how much you can get out of the mine. So in this case, we get 120 per minute in this tier 1 mining machine. So if we're getting 120, then we need a belt system that can also do that. And that's one of the things you have to unlock, because in the beginning you only get tier 1 or MK1 belts, which are made with basically just iron plates, and then the tier 2 are made with a little more complicated thing called a reinforced iron plate. And those are made in this, which is called an assembler. You can see here we have an output of 1, but an input of 2. Now, this factory is actually actively running right now. So I'm going to take you upstairs and sort of show you this very basic tier 1, tier 2 building process. So I have a belt coming in. Now, the miner for this one is right over there. So that miner feeds into a lift, into one of these conveyor lifts, and then we send it down. And I have these are hollow. They're just there to look like they're really thick structures. But it just simply comes around here, it comes up this in another elevator, and then we have it right there. So you can see here is the elevator, and it goes to right there. You can also see I have power already inside of the system here. And so I have this kind of coming over into the factory part. Now I took a clean approach to mine, so everything is sort of elevated in the air. So it comes in, goes into this. This is basically a splitter, and I'm just using it as a 90-degree line here. And as you can see, the feed comes in and it distributes out to these 4 machines. Now these are smelters. Now I have 4 more smelters here that aren't doing anything, and that's only because the distribution right now is exactly where it's supposed to be. These are for when I expand later. Now the output, these are a 1-to-1 type, so I send it up an elevator into another system just like the one over there, and then we send it down. So you can see right over here we have copper ingots, right? So yeah, I'm sorry, go over here. So you can see here we're making copper ingots. So we have 1 ore going in, we have 30 per minute, and you can see here we have our rate that talks about how fast everything is. So there is a little bit of math involved in this as far as trying to make sure everything is distributed. And as you can see here, it kind of goes down, and then just like before, I send it upstairs. So I'm only doing smelting on this floor. And you can see here I have another elevator, it sends it up to the next floor. Now the same thing is happening in the iron one, which is the one I'm building right now. I'm in the finishing stages of this. So this is already done. It's basically the same. I have a feed coming in. The difference is, you know, I have this feeding out, right? So this is basically the same, but I also have another one right here. So I have to do a whole new set right here. These two are also, or these four are also not operational. They're just there for expansion. And instead of doing it the way I did there, where I sent it to that way, this one I looped it and I sent it over to the same wall as this one here. And what will happen is I'm going to do the same over here. Now, if we want to kind of see how these are placed, well, we can sort of start by looking at where it feeds in. So it's right here on the line. And you'll notice that what I did was these are just slightly into this part of the floor. So if I wanted to mirror that, I could do that going this way. And we go into our production tab and pick the smelter. We make sure that it's going the correct direction. And now you can see the green lines sort of lining it up. So once you start getting things set, then you'll start noticing that it gets easier to set things in place. So that's going to go right there. And it's completely in line with the other ones that are there. Now, if I switch this around, now we have to figure something out, right? Because we have this right here. So when this outputs, this takes up a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles. And what I have is 1, 2, 3 tiles. So the trick is coming up with a way to make that work. And so what might happen is I might have to not have it hook into here. I may literally have to move it back in order to get my 4. So I'm going to have to figure that out on my own, or just lay them out in a different way. So I can actually do this instead. I can set them out, see how they're lined up. I can literally just build the 4. Just like that. So I can run them in a single line, where those I ran really close together. It just means my expansion here might be a little different. As in, I might have to maybe extend this out or something. So I can still do what I normally have been doing. And so if we want to know how to do the tall thing there, what I do is go into the logistics, and we start with what we have to use, which is a splitter. So I like to take it to the edge, right about there. Now the third, we stack them on top of each other until we get to the point where we want to use it. So there we go. And then I simply dismantle the bottom two. All right, so we're down here. We need to hook this up to there. And I need to use the Mark II belt. It's really weird. It doesn't really come out as straight as I'd like it to. Because I can take this and I can take it straight over there. And I can hook it up. See, it'll hook up just fine. But will it? Oh, it actually did do the 90-degree angle, so I'm good there. All right. So I have my power pole here. I'm going to hook it up. You can kind of see it start. Now, even though I have the concrete here, it actually does drill just fine. You'll see it start outputting here in a moment. There you go. Now that it's outputting, we're going to go upstairs. Now, another thing you can do is we can also upgrade things. So like this here, for instance, I can upgrade it and it will actually send out a faster rate of speed. We can also do it with these as well. And so that's what I'm sort of doing here. And let's replace this. So I'm gonna replace this part real quick. And we'll do the splitter again. Like that. Now, if we take this and there, now you see that the line is there, so that was what the problem was. Is I just didn't have the right one set. So there we go. And I do have some ingots on me, so I'm just gonna pop those in there. But you can see now that we have the ingots in there. So that's pretty much the gist of this. Now, I don't really quite like the way this angles right here. So we'll have to just leave it like that for now. Have to upgrade that back to where it was. All right, so there you go. So that's sort of some of the basics. We have other features and things in the game. I'll sort of go through those as the episodes go on, but right now I'm just doing the same basic parts that we need in tiers 1 and 2. So making rods, actually, let me go upstairs here, is making rods and making plates. So I haven't even gotten to the more complex things yet, but that's a sense of what's going on up here. You can see this. I don't really have a lot going on here. What I do have is I'm making plates. So we're doing the tier 1 and 2 items here. Now, if you're wondering how I'm powering everything, in the next episode, I will give you guys a tour of my power plant, which is at the top of that waterfall right there. Because I'm in tier 3 and 4, I have access to coal and coal power, and so I have a 600 megawatts power plant sitting up there that I can get to because I have a set of poles coming down, and that's why you see these poles right here. All right, so I'm at a power pole, and yeah, so we're at 600 megawatts, and right now my max capacity is 264. So I'm not even halfway to any issues with the power plant. So, but this is gonna be a pretty big building when I'm done. The reason I'm building them so high is because I want to be able to maybe run a train or maybe run vehicles underneath here. I already have truck stations right here. That's what these are feeding into right here. So I have these truck stations. I got 3 of them here. So if I need any of the basic materials, that's pretty much what's being fed inside of this factory. So these are the 3 main components. You got your cables, and here is your wire, and that one item that I showed you, the copper sheets. So everything's sort of going in here. And yeah, so there we go. That's sort of a mini start tour of my iron and copper factories. Also, I have a concrete factory over there, really simple one. I'll give you guys a tour on the next episode. And then what we'll do is we'll work on sort of building some of the more complex parts of the iron factory. So the rest of this will be built out. We'll take another tour of the items here, and we'll work on some higher tier items inside of 1 and 2 and on 3 and 4. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, don't forget, I do stream this on Twitch on Saturdays starting at 9:30 Central. There's where you'll see me doing the majority of the work, because the thing about this game is it is time consuming. So yeah, this took a bunch of time to make, and we'll actually do some in the next episode. So until then, keep building.